Remember to watch out for those new fake mulch brands destroying your once perfectly trimmed lawn. Sometimes you don't realize how good you've got something until it's gone. I'm Debrah, and this has been Channel 9 News.
Once the camera shut off, Debrah stood up from her infamous lined with blue leather seat and ambled off the set. She was in her regular red suit she wore for the channel. One of the stagehands tapped her shoulder.
Miss Debrah, there's some people here to see you. They say they're friends of yours.
He used his pen to point to Saul and Cori, loitering at one of the edges of the studio.
Thanks.
The stagehand nodded and continued with his usual tasks.
Forget about it.
Debrah's gaze met Saul and Cori. Saul was taking in the grandiosity of the studio, while Cori was stuffing as much free food from craft services as she could down her pants. At first, Debrah's legs wouldn't budge forward. She was well aware that she would have to face her past one day, but she was also well aware that she would never be ready when that day did come. As Saul's eyes were skimming the sound equipment across the room, he suddenly made eye contact with Debrah. This was the moment. Debrah couldn't stall anymore. She took a deep breath and made her way over to her two colleagues.
Hi, Debrah.
Saul greeted her. He was amicable. He carried no ill intention. Yet, he also didn't harbor the warmth or sense of familiarity in his voice that Debrah once knew.
Sup?
Cori waddled over with their pants suspiciously bloated and smelling of gravy. Debrah had met Cori before in group settings, but the two stayed exclusively mutual through chance encounters. They both thought the other was nice. They just never had a reason to meet up by themselves.
Hey, guys.
Debrah greeted back. She paused. She was nervous to see them again. Was she too robotic in her reply? Should she have said something else? A few seconds had already passed, hadn't they? Her armpit started to stain with sweat. She felt out of place in her own home.
Look, I'm sorry that I haven't seen you guys in a while. I just haven't had the chance with all the coverage we've...
Don't worry about it.
Saul reassured her.
That's not why we're here.
The knot in Debrah's stomach started to unwind.
Oh.
Was all Debrah could mumble out. She had been expecting the worst.
Well, what brings you here then?
Kobruh.
Saul curtly informed her.
He's back.
Debrah's eyes widened.
What?
She was hoping that she had somehow heard him incorrectly. Saul nodded his head.
Kobruh can't be back.
Debrah started breathing more heavily. Without fail, she instantly felt like she was teleported 12 years into the past.
We destroyed the crystal. There's no way.
Debrah remembered what happened to Bee as her world became a blur. She thought that she heard Saul call her name again. For a brief moment, she wasn't aware of anything going on. She didn't feel anything until Saul put his hands on her shoulders, trying to get her attention.
Debrah, are you okay?
He asked her. Debrah regained her focus.
I'm fine.
She brushed his hands off of her. Saul continued, ignorant to what Debrah had just experienced.
We didn't destroy the crystal. We put paste on it to stop it, but it's become active again.
So what, it's sending out new Kobruhs again?
No, it can't do that anymore. That I'm certain of.
Don't worry, I was slow too.
Cori inspirited Debrah. Her pants had mysteriously returned to their normal shape.
There are still Kobruhs from the past that conquered their own planets. I believe that those Kobruhs are working in conjunction with the crystal.
Saul explained.
They're coming from space to invade Earth.
How do we stop them?
Saul hesitated on his answer.
I'm still not sure. I've been focusing on trying to warn everyone else about this too.
So we don't have any defenses to protect our planet? No way of getting to space?
Debrah tried to be realistic despite her nerves tensing all over her body.
We don't even have any weapons?
I have this.
Cori interjected. Saul and Debrah both turned to look at her. She now had goggles on and was holding an active blowtorch.
Cori.
Saul calmly sighed.
How did you get that?
We're getting off topic.
Saul shifted his attention back to Debrah.
Right now, no. We don't have any of that. We will, though, eventually. I promise.
How do you know, though?
Cried Debrah, delivering her question in a way that made Saul start to second-guess if they could stop this invasion in the first place.
I just do right now. You just have to trust me on this.
Debrah didn't say anything.
So are you willing to help us?
Debrah took a moment to respond. Was she ready to thrust herself back into all of this? Was she really? Finally, she replied.
Of course I am. I can't just let our home be invaded and sit back and do nothing.
Her eyes anxiously darted down, then back up again, thinking about what she was agreeing to.
We defeated Kobruh once. I trust that we can do it again.
Saul smiled at Debrah's willingness.
See what I did there? You kept using the word trust, so I used trust instead of can. It's that witty kind of wordplay that causes people to tune in to Channel 9 News.
That's definitely not why people tune in.
Remarked Cori.
Either way, I'm glad to have you on board.
Commented Saul. Without sparing a moment to rejoice the new member of the team, Cori asked Saul,
Who are we getting next?
The closest person between who we have left to ask is Pogger's guy.
Saul debriefed.
Pogger's guy.
Debrah repeated after Saul, almost reminiscently.
He's the only person more caught up in his work than you are.
I mean, he does work in the White House.
Do you think he'll even be free?
He lives in America. His job description is that he's free. Come on.
The stagehand, who had been eavesdropping on the conversation, rebutted. Saul, Debrah, and Cori side-eyed him, but he instantly put his head into his clipboard and went back to work as if nothing had happened. Saul shrugged off the interruption.
We'll have to see.
The three exited the studio, their shoes glistening in the sunlight as the sidewalk paved their way to the White House.